serve as a short-term solution. This problem may continue to resurface year after year unless concrete measures are put in place to address the plight of the people who depend on this road on a daily basis. For GRTS News, I am Fatou Jassi.
Well, the fourth budget session of the National Assembly is slated for the period 3rd to the 24th of December 2012. A media release from the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly states that the Honorable Minister of Finance shall on Monday the 3rd of December 2012 lay before the National Assembly the draft 2013 estimates of revenue and expenditure, including the development expenditure of the Government of the Republic of the Gambia for the fiscal year 1st January to the 31st of December 2013, both dates inclusive, at 10:30 a.m. prompt. Deputies shall proceed to debate on the 2013 draft estimates on Wednesday, the 5th of December 2012 at 10 a.m. On Friday, the 14th of December 2012, the Honorable Minister shall present the Appropriation Bill 2013 budget speech at 10 a.m., highlighting government's development programs for the coming fiscal year 2013. Accordingly, according to the release, the public is invited to attend. A two-week capacity building tutorial for project staff from government ministries and agencies implementing IDB and other donor-funded projects in the Gambia is underway in Banjul. Luimendi reports the government and IDB technical assistance grant is meant to hone the knowledge and skills of participants in the successful monitoring and evaluation of projects.
Agencies implementing Islamic Development Bank and other donor-funded projects in the Gambia are benefiting from a two-week interactive session. The capacity building tutorial on monitoring and evaluation is the third module in a series of training programs under the government and IDB technical assistance grant meant to build the capacity of beneficiaries on successful project management. MDI, mandated to address the capacity gaps in the civil service sector, is the provider of the modules. The seminar is only not regarded important to project implementers, but more so to the country's monitoring and evaluation specialists now needed to help document outputs and outcomes of projects and programs.
This technical assistance grant for capacity building in areas such as monitoring and evaluation is very valuable because there's a need to build and retain capacities and competencies necessary for successful project implementation, which calls for strengthening of national systems in conjunction with a rigorous civil service reform.
Monitoring brings a transparent and objective evaluation to determine success and failure of projects. Thus, communication of project outcomes and success has now become a fundamental requirement of all projects.
At defined periods, against the targets and performance indicators set in the project appraisal document, and to assist project managers and staff to know which areas need necessary adjustments in order to steer the project on track.
Modules under discussion during the two-week interactive session include ethics of monitoring and evaluation and the uses of monitoring and evaluation data in project management.
These 2 weeks of the M&E training course will have presentations and discussions on M&E cycles, M&E log frame, the logical framework, the M&E matrix, designing and a participatory and conventional M&E system, quantitative and qualitative data collection skills, techniques in implementing M&E systems, IT database systems for M&E, uses of M&E data in project management.
The seminar is timely for the simple fact that both nationally and internationally, there is increasing demand for result and accountability for public management of project funds.
Increasingly everywhere, donors are now being selective who they give resources to. Now, that being the case, for you to be given results, you must demonstrate that you are also responsible enough to account for these resources. And one way of demonstrating that or delivering on that is only through building a robust monitoring and evaluation system that will be able to give you, as Jennifer highlighted, a mechanism of feedbacks This is important for policy.
The outcome of the seminar is expected to culminate to post-training learning in offices implementing both IDB and other donor-funded projects in the Gambia. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Well, time now to take our first break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the international news. Stay tuned then. Welcome back to the news. There are developments in the ongoing conflict in Congo. M23 rebels say a host of conditions must be met before they withdraw from the eastern city of Goma. They want President Joseph Kabila to hold talks, release political prisoners, among other things. Meanwhile, thousands of civilians have fled the city and fears are mounting of a refugee crisis. ITV's Africa correspondent Rohio Kasha reports, and we would like to warn our viewers that this story contains some disturbing images.
The government's forces have gone. The rebels are in control. And in the hills high above Goma today, it seemed their grip was tightening. We are not here to take lives, but we want the government to come to the negotiating table. But they are not accepting, he says. But far beneath the soldiers, there is a different battle being fought. It is simply for survival. Since last week, tens of thousands have fled fighting and looting by soldiers as they retreated.
People here are, of course, used to despair. Conflict is a nightmare that's recurring. And once again, entire communities are on the move.
So now, in the shadow of the volcano, the ashes of war spread across a refugee camp. Regina left late at night clutching her children. She says their lives have been destroyed by the fighting.
This is a ballistic ward, if I can say.
At Goma's main hospital, Dr. Simplice shows me the youngest victims. Gloria, aged 5, and hit by a bullet. Emmanuel, now paralyzed at 15 years old.
It's entered here and came through here and destroyed the spinal cord here around.
And paralyzed him.
He paralyzed for life.
With this bullet?
Yes, this one.
Then there's Bahati, who lost his arm in crossfire.
Let them choose a stadium like football. If Manchester United and Chelsea want to play, they choose a stadium.
To you it's the same? It's
yes,
just sport?
Yes, it's a sport, but they are playing in the ground of civilian.
And we find some of those injured players being treated at a hospital nearby. Government soldiers and rebel fighters side by side. He is M23 and he is M23, says this army lieutenant, but they're both my brothers. Outside, an army doctor enraged. He says the government's losing ground because they're not being paid and fed. They are losing the war, he says. But in Goma, as the humanitarian crisis grows, they are all losers.
Of Turkish and NATO officials will survey the Turkey-Syria border on Tuesday. Turkey asked NATO last week for Patriot anti-craft missile batteries to better defend itself against any potential threat coming from inside Syria. And on Monday, there were airstrikes near a refugee camp along the border with Turkey. CNN's Our Diamond visited the border and she filed in this report.
This is just about as close as the Turkish military will allow us to get, but right behind us is the border with Syria. And those white tents you see, that is the refugee camp that is very close to the village of Atma, We were able to get a closer look a short while ago. Hundreds of people seem to be gathered on the Turkish side, and that is because earlier on Monday, there were 2 Syrian airstrikes on the village of Atma.